Awesome. Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending where in the world that you may be today. We are going to be jumping into the webinar here in a couple of minutes. I give people about a minute or two as they're getting logged in. I saw that this one, we had quite a few registrations, about 1,000 people who registered for the event. So I know sometimes it takes a moment for Zoom to get logged in. Sometimes they do updates and all that. So what we're going to do in the meantime is find that Q&A section of your control panel and let us know where it is you are calling in from. Find that Q&A section of the control panel and type in where it is you are calling in from. And we have there, our first person is Dusty in Chitre, Panama. We have Daryl in Montreal, Brian in Arizona. Oh my gosh, they're all just trying to come in really quickly here. All right, let me just answer that live. And then we have Daryl in Montreal, Dina in Melbourne, Australia, Steph is in Mexico, Brian is in Arizona, Chris is in, I don't know, Gatineau. I don't know if I pronounced that properly. Kristen is in Lincoln, Nebraska. We have Chicago, Sacramento. It's a Spanish from Australia. I hope you don't mind. We are speaking English in this one. Andrew's in Utah. We have Idaho, Costa Rica, awesome, Vegas, Texas, Colorado. Surprise, Arizona. I didn't know that was a place. You learn something new every day. Pennsylvania, Boston, Toronto, England, another Melbourne, Singapore, awesome, Vancouver Island, Colorado, Canada, Toronto, Canada, Salvador. Well, it continues on here. Awesome. I just like to go through the list before we get started. We did a session earlier this morning as well, and we just had people from all across the globe. As you may realize, we're playing around with our time schedule a little bit to accommodate as many of you as possible. I know you're all throughout the world, and so hopefully this time is better for you, and I'm guessing it is since you're here on the webinar with us. But wanted to say thank you, everybody, so much for joining us this evening for an overview of tropical tiny homes across Central America. Tiny homes are something that I have just really started to get into over the years as we as an organization, ECI Development, have started to develop them. And I think you're going to be very excited to see what's in store for you today. I do want to give you one housekeeping item, is that at the bottom part of the screen on the bottom right, you see that email address, webinar@ECI Development. We're going to be talking about 4 countries today, 4 countries where we have the tiny homes. At the end of each section, you'll see a little brochure and then that email address there. If you want more information about that specific community, reach out to us through that email address so that we can get the details to you. We're not automatically going to send you every single thing in the book because we probably get bogged down in spam with all of those links and probably wouldn't be relevant to you. So just make sure you're letting us know what you are interested in specifically. So hello, everybody. Once again, my name is Rachel Jensen, the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for ECI Development. Originally from New York, I made my way down to Latin America in 2010 for the first time. That was my first visit to Nicaragua. Fell in love with the country, the region, the culture. In 2012, I ended up coming back to Nicaragua. At that point, I thought it was only going to be for 3 months. With the internship that I accepted with ECI Development, I already had Peace Corps lined up. I was scheduled to actually go to Panama to teach English, but then I ended up staying with ECI Development. It's been almost 10 years that I've been with them, and it's been a fun ride. I'll tell you that. It's just always neat to see how the company is innovative and listening to what the people are wanting and then building that. And then not just in one country, but multiple countries across the region. So really excited to be sharing with you everything that's going on today, at least from the tiny realm sector. With me today, I also have Ali Rodriguez. Ali, why don't you give us a warm welcome and tell us a little bit more about you?
Thanks, Rachel. I will just echo what you said about just excited to be able to share this opportunity with everybody on the line here today. And like Rachel, I'm a little bit of a black sheep in my family. About 4 years ago, took a trip down here to Belize from Texas. And fell in love with the country, fell in love with the people. Obviously, the scenery is also amazing, and didn't look back. So went back to Texas, sold our business, our house, our cars, and came to Belize full time about 4 years ago. So although our family thinks we are crazy and we do things a little bit differently, you are so wise to be here and exploring these opportunities with us here today, because there's just so much that you can learn and know about the countries that these communities are in, and just making sure that you're doing the best you can to round out your due diligence on these opportunities. So welcome, and we hope that you either learn something new or just find your love for tiny homes.
Yes, exactly. All right. So we're going to just jump right in here. So I just did a quick scroll through the names and I recognize a lot of names on there. There are many new names too. So people that I haven't had the chance to interact with, or maybe haven't had the chance to interact with us as a development company. So I wanted to give you a quick overview about who we are. Then we're going to just jump right into it. So ECI Development is a regional real estate development company, been in the region since 1996. Our co-founders actually started in Latin America before that, but our development arm came out in about 1996. And what we realized at that point is that there were many foreigners who were moving south of the border, and they were looking to either extend their pension or have a better quality of life for less, or simply just wanted to get out of the snow or the cooler weather up north or wherever they were from. But not everybody was looking for the same thing. Not everybody likes the beaches of Belize or the Pacific waters of Costa Rica or the tropical highlands of Ecuador or Costa Rica. But what we wanted to do was be able to offer a variety of choice to our consumers. So the development company started here in Belize, picked up a beachfront resort, and then continued to expand there. Now we are in Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Belize, Panama, with property acquisitions currently in place in Mexico, Argentina, Ecuador as well. And then there's also the agricultural side of our development company. So it's resort, residential, and also agricultural. And our goal really is to deliver inspired residences to adventurous souls. And I'm going to dare to say that all of you on the line here are indeed adventurous souls. You're thinking maybe outside the box. And Ali, you really hit the nail on the head there when you said, you're like, I'm the black sheep of the family. I totally understand. And I'm going to guess that some of you on the line also are the black sheep of your family. You may have talked to them about maybe even moving to another country, investing in another country, or maybe even just the tiny home movement, and they don't get it. They don't understand. Why would you ever leave this wonderful country that you're living in or that you're a citizen of? Or why would you ever downsize from 2,500 square feet to 400 square feet? So there's a lot, of outside pressures in a sense, but just listen to what you want to do. And hopefully you find something here in the presentation that resonates with what you want to accomplish. Ali and I and our team are here for you in order to go through the details. So we do have quite a few people behind us here. A couple of the executives I wanted to highlight: Mike Cobb, Joel Nagel, Patrick Hebert. Mike and Joel are actually the two co-founders of the organization. Joel started in Belize in the late 80s, actually. He's an asset protection attorney, was setting up trust, asset protection structures for doctors at that point. He invited Mike Cobb to join him in Belize. It was his roommate. Mike was his roommate in college. Mike came down. He was in the computer industry at that point, loved it, ended up buying a condo. They started a mortgage company in the early 90s, which has since morphed into a bank. In addition to that, they have set up a trust company to help people set up trusts, international business companies, local 250 companies, and just a variety of options. So we're obviously the real estate arm of all of this. And just know, though, of course, when you're learning about the company that's doing the development, it's super important for you to do your due diligence, to know who it is that you're deciding to work with. And then there are many other people as well. I think sometimes people just, I'm on a lot of these webinars. I can tell you the company is a lot bigger than Ali and me. And then some of the faces that you saw there, we have about 100 other people behind the scenes who are really the ones that are making it happen. The operations team to make sure your tiny homes are getting delivered and looking like they should from the renderings. And in addition, the accounting team making sure that your rentals are getting paid out in time. I mean, there's just a whole operation across the board. And if anyone wants to see this more specifically, I know it's tiny. We'd be happy to send it to you. Probably not too much of interest, but I do like to highlight our team members as well. So, all right, we're going to just jump right in. So tiny homes. Tiny homes is something that we've started to hear more about in the public mainstream media. I know, what is it, on TLC or one of those channels, Home and Garden Television, they have all these tiny home shows now about finding these ideal tiny homes across the world. I think IKEA even is starting to sell little tiny home kits. I'd be nervous to get a tiny home from IKEA. You miss one screw and the whole house falls down. But hopefully they have people to set those up for you. But regardless, we're seeing more and more people are adopting tiny homes and the tiny home lifestyle that's behind it. And so you'll see here on the screen a handful of reasons why some of our tiny home owners have decided to become homeowners with us. Some of them are looking at it from the residency perspective. In a couple of the countries that we work in, you're able to get your investor residency through the ownership. It qualifies you. You're not automatically granted it. You're able to qualify for the investor residency. In addition to that, we're seeing a lot of people now being able to be digital nomads. So they're able to pick up their computer, open it up, connect to Wi-Fi, work from anywhere. So as long as they have their phone, they have their laptop, they're able to get their job done. And digital nomads don't necessarily travel with tons of suitcases. They don't need a lot of space. They just need somewhere comfortable, great Wi-Fi, and get connected. And even here in Belize, so Ali and I are both on an island called Ambergris Key. It's the largest island off the coast of Belize mainland. And I can tell you, when I first started coming down in 2012, and I go to the restaurants or go to the bars, a majority of the people who were not tourists were older retirees. They were here, they were living on their pension, they wanted to live by the Caribbean. Now what we're seeing is the people who aren't tourists are becoming a younger demographic, because we have fiber optics internet here. People are able to work from anywhere. And so these tiny homes are a great option for those digital nomads, whether to own or to even just spend 2, 3, 4 months. They have all the amenities there. They have the full kitchen. They have a lounge area where they can where they can work, they can set up an office, but it's easy enough for them to feel comfortable. In addition, if you're looking at this from an investment perspective, it really provides a unique opportunity for the rental market. Tiny homes are just so cute and efficient and trendy. And I think a lot of people would love to stay in a tiny home, especially when in the tropics, because it is just something so different. I know on my Instagram, as I scroll, I follow all the tiny home pages and whatnot. And so I'm always seeing new ones pop up. I'm from New York originally, and there's some really cute ones that are starting to pop up in the Catskills, upstate New York. And I'm starting to see more. There were some in Puerto Rico that were popping up, and I'm just seeing tons of people following it and liking it and engaging with the posts. And so we know that it's a movement that's here to stay. I don't like to say trend. It really is a movement that's here to stay. In addition to that, the homes are more affordable than the traditional 1,500, 2,000, 2,500 square feet homes, because what you're doing is reducing the costs when you reduce the square footage. So it's been pretty neat to see how you're able to get an affordable home, everything within that space, but not necessarily have the huge price tags associated with it. And then also there's this growing emphasis on an eco-friendly living. And I think more and more this is becoming important as we continue to see the effects of how humans are affecting the planet, and not always in a positive way. It's nice to be able to know that we're owning a home that's sustainable, also great for our utility bills, but also eco-friendly at the same time. So what happened over the last year and a half, I would say, is we saw this huge paradigm shift in this digital nomad space. We call them the knowledge workers, the people that realize they were not necessarily tethered to a desk. As offices actually shut their doors and told their employees they had to work from home, if they could, they had to work from home, then people realize, I don't need to be sitting at my desk in my office anymore. I can work from anywhere in the world. I can hop on my conference call as long as I have Wi-Fi, and I'm going to explore the world. I'm going to spend 2, 3, 4, 5 months here. And, I can tell you from my perspective, and, Ali, the same, we've met a lot of these digital nomads here in Belize who sometimes they come for 2, 3, 4 weeks, end up staying for months, but being able to accommodate them in a tiny home, or perhaps they even end up owning a tiny home because it's still affordable for them to do so. And, the neat part too, I think, for people to realize is you don't need to be a multimillionaire to own property overseas. For a long time, I think that we've associated home ownership in another country with being uber rich or uber wealthy, because we hear about these celebrities who are buying large mansions and on Lake Como or chateaus in the Pyrenees Mountains of France. But your life can be simple, and you can be in a tropical environment and not spend a crazy amount of money in order to do so. So it is a lot more affordable for folks. So we're seeing more and more digital nomads now entering the space. So today we're going to talk about 4 different opportunities in Belize, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Panama. we're going to just try to give you the full not even the full overview, the snapshot overview. If there's anything that's of interest, please do let us know that. We got off the webinar, we did this one earlier today, and one of our coworkers, Betsy, was like, that's a lot of information. And I was like, it is a lot of information, and we don't want to overwhelm you. We just want to give you a quick overview, and then you let us know what your interests are, because we do full webinars about each of these neighborhoods, each of these communities, each of the countries even has a 101 webinar associated with it. So you can learn about the countries, you can learn about the specific neighborhoods and communities, but there's just a ton of information that we're trying to synthesize for you in one comprehensive webinar. So what you're going to see through the next 45 minutes here are these test concepts adopted into the tiny homes. T standing for tiny. So these homes are small. They're I think in one case, 250 to 450 square feet of interior space. But I do want you to remember that these homes are in the tropics. Our life happens outside of the four walls, and we are enjoying winter, summer, fall, all of those seasons, if you're used to them, outside in 80, 85 degree weather year round. And so what that means is you'll tend to find more third spaces, the common spaces, the pool area, for example, yoga palapa, birding areas, hiking trails. Even at your own home, you'll have the decks where you're able to enjoy the scenery, sit outside, put some recliners out there, and really just enjoy the environment that you're in. The other concept that you'll see integrated in the homes are these eco-friendly features. So we have brought in concepts like solar panels. Some of the communities are more of a hybrid system where they're connected to the grid but use solar during the day. Others are totally off-grid, but including the eco-friendly nature there. In addition to that, we are including the sustainability to these homes. So in the areas, in the neighborhoods, there will be gardens and orchards for those of you who like to have fresh fruit and know exactly where your produce is coming. Gray water recycling, for example, reverse osmosis in one of our communities too. So just looking at ways to lessen the impact on the environment while still not giving up any of our comforts. So just depending on what your ultimate goals are, that will help you determine where it is that you want to own. And I just realized, Allie, that we did some updates to the presentation from this morning, but we didn't put Honduras in here. So I will place Honduras on for you all and tell you where I think it would be on this curve here. But when you look at this real estate investment curve, when you look at the top part of the curve, you see countries that tend to be more popular. Think about where honeymooners are going for their honeymoon. People are going to Pacific Costa Rica, Panama. It's been established in the marketplace. It's known as safe. There are great rental options there. It's easy to get to. Property in these areas tend to be more expensive, but you already know that you have a rental market there. It's a mature market. You already have the cash flow. You go down to the bottom part of the curve and you have Nicaragua, Caribbean, Costa Rica. These are places that are not as established as other places that you see here on the curve, but there's more opportunity for appreciation. So if you can hold on to real estate, and maybe you're thinking about this from a 5, 10, 15-year projection, you want to get in before the masses are coming. Think about Cancun 15, 20 years ago. If you were one of those early investors in Cancun, you're probably doing all right now. And a lot of us who are savvy investors like to think, in the long term. But in countries like Nicaragua, even parts of countries like Caribbean, Costa Rica, you'll see that there are more opportunities for appreciation. I'm going to say, all of these countries can be thin sliced, obviously, depending on the specific region. You see that already with Costa Rica. Nicaragua, I would say, can even be thin sliced as a whole. The country is not as popular as a Costa Rica, but I would say it's Grand Pacifica specifically, where the tiny homes are, is probably closer to Belize because of the fact that we have an established property there where the tiny homes are located, been in business for 15, 20 years as an operating hotel and resort. So it's gotten a lot more popular than just the general country of Nicaragua. But I'm going to say that Honduras is probably even a little bit below Nicaragua. And just like all these other countries, it can be thin sliced more. The Bay Islands, the Roatan, the Utila, La Ceiba, though that probably would be at the higher part marketplace, especially for divers. Belize is really at the sweet spot of the curve, just generally as a country. English is the official language. British common law. Sorry, I don't want to steal too much of your thunder. I know you're going to mention that. but we see that real estate prices have not plateaued here like they have in places like Costa Rica, and there's still opportunities for appreciation. So just depending on what you're looking for will depend on where it is you invest. And I'm glad you are all thinking globally. You're part of that 11.6% here. We do love to see that. It is nice to connect with other like-minded owners. And it's funny, I ran into my neighbor last night for the first time. I just moved a couple months ago. I ran into my neighbor for the first time. And it's actually interesting because her and I were connected previously through a mutual friend through text, didn't even realize it was her. But what she said to me, and I thought was so true, it resonates with the people here on the island and people who live overseas, is she's like, you already have this connection with people who you're neighbors with in another country who are foreigners too, because at some point you made the decision to move overseas. And most people aren't like that. Like Ali said, we're the minority, we're the black sheep. So you already have that connection where you have this shared interest. And we do see that as we're continuing to build ECI, is there are people who are so like-minded when you get together and you're able to have conversations that you probably aren't able to have with your neighbor back in your home country. So it's just so fun to see that. What I'm going to recommend is if this is your first time looking at property overseas, reach out to us for our complimentary consumer resource guide. This is a great white paper that was intended to be educational to help you learn the sort of questions that you ask when looking at property overseas. And I would highly recommend everyone inquire for it if you haven't received it yet. And there's the 15 must ask questions when looking at property in another country. Has questions like, is it plumbed with hot water or is there AC? And when you're in the tropics, you want to make sure there is AC, but that's not necessarily a standard feature in builds. So we're going to just jump right in. And Ali, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Panama?
All right, perfect. So now that we've gone, really high level over what you're all doing here, and you've gotten a sense of what kinds of communities these are, and they truly are communities. And something, Rachel, that you touched on that I wanted to expand on a little bit is this idea of, people being made essentially to work at home. Your offices are closed, but there are some of you that I would imagine here on the line that are extroverts and want to be around other people. So being in a community where you're able to be around these like-minded individuals and really share this commonality is something that's probably pretty important to you. So about Panama specifically, if you're familiar with Copa Airlines is based out of Panama City, and it has direct, nonstop, and some other nonstop flights, but connected throughout the world. So it has great access worldwide, North America specifically, but also to Europe. So being that it's able to be a hub for people to come and go from has really made the second point on the list here, the strong economy of people being able to get in and get out and do business in the country and then go back home to whatever their home location is or business location is. And just to elaborate on that, the strong economy, you'll hear us refer to the Panama Canal as the ATM of Panama, because every time a boat comes through that canal, it's generating this revenue for the country. And the country has then done an amazing job of reinvesting that monies into the infrastructure of the country and really bringing it to this modern feel that you would expect to see in North America. For example, Panama City, they call Panama City the Miami of Panama because it has these branded stores and chains and all kinds of things that you would expect to see, in downtown Miami. So very strong economy, easy to get to. But the last point I just want to make on this list specifically is that world-class healthcare. In Panama City, there are 2 Jci Accredited Hospitals. If you're not familiar with that, these are hospitals that have gone through rigorous due diligence from these international groups to then label them as being a place that meets these international standards. And for people that are looking at, a retirement option, or if you have health concerns that you need to have addressed by people that you would expect to have in your home country, Panama really truly has been the leader in being that spot. Like Rachel mentioned, we have Panama 101 webinars that will go deeper into each one of the points that you see there on your screen. But just to make sure we don't overwhelm you guys with all the tiny details, we wanted to make sure that you knew those top three there. But if you are interested in hearing about that Panama 101 webinar, it is quite easy to get it. Just send us an email at webinar@ecidevelopment.com and let us know that you'd like that recording. But you'll see some pictures here. What's great about Panama is it's quite geographically diverse. You can see that there's a picture there on the left-hand side. That's Panama City, bottom left-hand side. Beautiful skyline. It's got the skyscrapers. It's got the business atmosphere, the hustle, the bustle, the nightlife. But then you go somewhere like the picture at the top of your screen there, and you'll be in the Highlands of Panama, and you'll be in a more serene atmosphere, and you can get away from all of that. And of course, they have the beautiful waters down there that, me personally, I didn't ever realize that Panama had the coastline that looked like that. It didn't have the white sandy beaches. So that's not something I was familiar with. So just one of those things where you can learn more about these countries and really start to dive a little bit deeper into what it is that you truly desire. What are you looking for, and what are your goals? And just before I let Rachel tell you about the community there, I see some people that are raising your hands. You're welcome to find that Q&A section down at the bottom of your screen. Type your question into that section, and we will get to as many of those at the end of the presentation as possible. I just want you guys to be able to get your questions addressed as we can.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Ali. So we're going to jump into the tiny home community in Panama. You can see the yellow star. That's where the property is located on the west side of the country. If you're familiar with the geography of Panama, you may have heard about David or Boquete. Typically, Boquete is well known for expats, tourists, people to come who are more of the adventure travelers. Sorry, guys, let me turn that phone down there. Okay, more for the adventure travelers who enjoy hiking, being in the outdoors, whitewater rafting. You tend to find those sort of activities in this part of Panama. And so we're located about 30 minutes from David, which is where there's an airport. And then you go 30 minutes, and then 30 minutes from where our property is in Dolega, 30 minutes north of that, then you're in Boquete. So it's a really convenient location, easy to get to. In addition to that, it has that beautiful area. Sorry, I think I get the calls are forwarding to my phone here. Sorry about that. But the calls have, it's a beautiful area where you find a lot of greenery, jungle, lush landscape. If you see the alley when she's talking in her background over there, that is indeed Boquete. So where we're going to be talking about specifically is Freedom Village at the Grand Highlands property. And these are riverside tiny homes. You don't necessarily get river views from all of them, but they're just right down there, down the pathway. You're able to jump in the river, and it's quite neat. We were out there a couple of weeks ago, and you just close your eyes and you listen and you hear the river roaring below you, and it's just so unbelievably stunning. In addition to that, we already have an orange grove there. The trees are growing. You're able to just pick your orange off, and then we will be adding other fruit trees to the area. So here it's a hybrid solar, wind and grid powered tiny homes. So more features I mentioned to you. It's only 30 minutes away from Boquete, which is a very popular area for expats. You do have your dining options there, pharmacies, clinics, really anything that you need. In addition to that, you have incredible mountain views from the property. On the right-hand side, you see just a sliver of Grand Highlands overall, and then that circle, that is specifically where the tiny homes are located. And you can see, if you can follow my cursor right over here, this is where the river is located. So really beautiful, but within the property there are natural creeks running through, and it's on a slight decline. So you just have really incredible mountain views throughout. Here's some of the interior rendering. Something I want to mention is the fact that all of the homes will have teak features. I think some of you know that we do have teak there in Panama. We're able to use some of the thinnings and some of the final boards to be integrated into features. And we're just excited about that. Teak is a really incredible hardwood, valuable hardwood. So it'll be neat to see it integrated into the construction. There are 3 different models here on property. We have the orchid, the hibiscus, and the heliconia. Just depending on what your budget may look like or your needs, you may find that there's one home that's better suited for you than the other. We have a 1-bedroom and then two options for the 2 bedrooms, and it's really a 1-bedroom with a loft above, and then just plenty of outdoor space. When you add in the outdoor space for the hibiscus and the heliconia, it adds about an additional 1,000 square feet. So you can see having that the tropical tiny homes and being outdoors in the tropics really is something that we do. If you want more information, reach out to us, webinar@ecidevelopment.com. Just put Grand Highlands in the subject line. We will know exactly what to send you. I'll give you just a minute there if this is of interest. All right, let's just jump right into Belize now.
All right, and my home away from home, I guess you could say. So like I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, if you're just joining us or didn't quite catch the first couple of minutes, I do live here full-time in Belize. I moved here about 4 years ago from Texas. I became a permanent resident about 2 years ago. So I've been through that process, and I'm happy to share with you that experience and how it happened for me specifically. But some things to note here, and we're just going to cover the top 3, of course, but English is the official language. So if you are like me and maybe you took that second language course in high school or you've played around on Duolingo or something like that, but aren't quite fluent in that second language, and English is your primary language, it's quite easy to get around, to communicate with not only the locals, but with all of the paperwork and immigration's office stuff that you go through coming into country, your forms that you fill out, those are all in English. So it's comfortable and it's easy to understand without having to find somebody to translate it for you and possibly make a mistake in communication there. So English is the official language. There are other languages spoken here, and something you'll see down there at the very bottom is this country is quite culturally diverse. We have several different groups of people, types of people that are represented within the country. You have your Mayans, you have your Garifuna, you have also French Canadians, because we are English common law, we're British common law, in fact. And something you'll note when you see the paperwork and different, I guess you could say, rules or guidelines about the country is they reference back to Queensland a lot because, the Queen of England is still on our currency here. So just note that it's quite easy to acclimate, to get used to, finding your way around, speaking to the local food vendors and shop tenders and things like that here. And like I said, it's just quite comfortable to be able to come right in and begin communicating and getting into these different groups. There's quite a large group of expats here, also mostly North Americans, Canada, a lot of people from Texas and Colorado, but there's a great wide range of diversity. There really truly is. We have a French chef here on the island that does traditional French cuisine. So you have a little bit of everything. But one last thing I want to note here, and like Rachel mentioned, we are on an island called Ambergris Caye, right off the coast of Belize. And what's amazing about that is that not only are we out in the middle of these azure waters and we're surrounded by incredible just views, we're about 5-minute boat ride from the longest living barrier reef. So we have incredible snorkeling, incredible diving. I like to tell people, watch a National Geographic, and the minute you get off the boat out at this reef, that's exactly what it looks like. The fish are vibrant, they're active. You will probably see as many things as you'd like diving and snorkeling here off the coast of just Ambergris Caye. So that as an investor, if you're looking at ownership as an investment, from an investment perspective, you want to go and invest your monies into a place where people are excited to be, and people are truly excited to be here in Belize. And on the next slide, I'll show you some other pictures of some of the activities that you can do while in Belize. So I talked a lot about the island and the water activities, but if you're more of a jungle type person, we have incredible zip lining, we have cave tubing. You can go and take a tour of the Mayan ruins, and it's all so very close within proximity of each other that you can go back and forth in a day or two. So people come here and just really enjoy getting to be immersed into these different types of activities. You'll see down there on the left-hand side, that's our Best Western property. The palm trees are just incredible on this island. They're beautiful. The folks down there in the middle picture at the bottom, those are the Garifuna drummers. We actually have a traditional Garifuna restaurant right down the street from our office, and I'm addicted to the coconut. I don't know what their official name is. I just know they're coconut and they're delicious. But you have a great opportunity to really experience the culture here in Belize.
Yeah, exactly. And so where we are located, Ali and I is an island off the coast of Belize mainland, Ambergris Caye. As Ali mentioned, it's small, about 26 miles long, 1 mile wide at its widest point. But this island produces 70% of the tourism revenue, 70%. And the reason for that is, just as Ali mentioned, the reef. It is starting to get dark here, but hopefully at the end I'll be able to just give you a quick view of the office here. You can see right out to the beach, and it just simply is stunning. But here in Belize, we have over the water tiny homes, bungalows. Our first phase has sold out, and do hear me on this, is that we are working on a second phase. Second phase will be about 42 homes, about 20 homes over the water. The remaining will be over land. These will start about $199,900. Plus closing costs and the furniture. But these homes are really unique. They are over the water. They have fun little glass floors as viewing centers, so people can look down and see the marine life underneath. And they are designed really, though, to be environmentally friendly. This is not a Bora Bora sort of setting. You're not going to have that crystal clear blue water. We have the mangroves, and we have restoration projects that are going up. We have marine life there in the water. We'll have a birding area in for people to come and look at the birds. And so it is really just a really eco-friendly environment. I'm really excited to see it all come together. But this first phase, as I mentioned, is sold out. We'll have the desal system, vacuum septic, glass floor to watch the marine life, those little details there. But there are some renderings of the homes that are currently going up. The second phase will offer these 3 models, again starting at $199,900. But I do want to mention, as we get to the time to release this phase, it's going to just depend entirely on what construction costs are. It may go up, but there is that little disclaimer there at the bottom. I know some of you listen to these webinars months after they happen, so please don't be shocked if there are any changes to prices or if there's no availability. It just really depends on the market at that point. If you're looking at any of these home ownerships from a return on investment perspective, just reach out to us. We'd be happy to send you the details with the specific models that you're looking at. But here's some construction of the homes that are currently underway. The first 20 homes, as I mentioned, all of them are sold. The pilings are going in, pilings going down to the bedrock, built to Hurricane Category 5 standards, and just looking really good. Here's a cool overview. I think this is a few weeks old, about a month old at this point. There's been a lot of progress since, but you can see the homes that are starting to go in and really take shape. So I'm excited to see that all come together. It's a really neat area, and a lot of opportunity. If you want more information about Belize, again, just a reminder that it's not yet available. Phase 2 is not yet available. Hopefully it will be by the end of this year, but it just depends on the permitting and approval process, which in Latin America could be tomorrow or it could be middle of next year. So we'll just keep you posted. And if that's something that is of interest to you, let us know and we'll keep you on the first look list. All right, let's jump over to Nicaragua.
All right, let's consider Nicaragua. So let me just preface this particular section of the presentation with the note that we understand that Nicaragua is not the most attractive option for a lot of people out there for lots of different reasons. I would say that being a person that's come to learn a lot about Nicaragua and really make my own decision is something that I would really encourage you to do as well. I mean, we all hear about the news stories and things like that flow around, especially in the United States, and the media really takes things and runs with it. So I would just say, do your own due diligence about the country. Nicaragua is probably the most attractive to savvy investors, like Rachel mentioned, really trying to hit the market and be a part of the market before it becomes so popular that home ownership or real estate goes up and it skyrockets. So but on that note, I want to tell you that number one bullet point here, it is one of the safest countries in Latin America. And that's not a study we did. We can definitely send you some more information about where that study came from. But a note that our CEO and co-founder, Mike Cobb, he actually raised his family in Nicaragua, his two young daughters. They did all the dance classes, they did the soccer, all of that stuff in Nicaragua as they were growing up. And like Rachel mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, she lived in Nicaragua, she experienced it firsthand. So if you ever need to really talk about it and talk through it with somebody, we definitely have people that are able to do that with you. And just a note also, in relation to that investment curve and just the popularity of the country not being as high as it would be, let's say in Panama, your cost of living is extremely low. So not only through ownership of a tiny home and reducing that carbon footprint, but it's so affordable to go out and find things like organic fruits and vegetables and buying a huge, coffee sack full of organic fruits and vegetables from the corner vendor, for $5 or $10 US that would last you, probably over a week. So put that in relations to what you would do or what you would spend at Whole Foods. Having in-home maids and somebody doing all your chores for you for a month is, $100 US. So just think about the quality of life that you not only could live for yourself if you're looking at this as a lifestyle investment, but also the quality of life that you could afford to other people that are coming to visit, whether it's long-term or short-term. They would truly get to experience this more, I guess, humble living experience than what we are accustomed to. And just the last point on this list, if you'll see to the right there, the homes at Grand Pacifica are absolutely incredible to view sunsets. So the bottom picture down here is the true coastline, the Pacific coastline of the Grand Pacifica property. You'll see the building at the top with the orange roof. That is our Las Perlas Oceanfront Village. Those are condominiums that have just phenomenal sunsets, and every sunset along that coastline is equally as beautiful. But as in coordinate with that, we also have two of the world-renowned surf beaches, surf waves in the region. So there are two different skill levels that you could go and experience there. We have Osatio Beach, which we'll touch a bit on when we talk about the Ava community, but the Osatio Beach is great for people who are beginning to surf or maybe are at an intermediate level of surfing. And then of course we have the meat grinder a bit further down the beach, which is as exciting as it sounds and not something I will be personally experiencing anytime soon, but does draw a lot of attention from these international surfers who are just out there seeking out these different waves and these different beaches. So you can see there also it's quite family friendly. I mean, we and dogs, pets, dogs, kids, all of it. We love them all. So Grand Pacifica has been up and operating now for, like Rachel mentioned, over 15 years. And I'm trying to go. Oh, and
sorry,
then I went
let me go back one time from you. There you go.
So Grand Pacifica has been up and operating for over 15 years. We've established our client base. We've help spread the word about being in Nicaragua and getting to experience the country through the eyes of tourists, but also we have a lot of return guests. We have a lot of people that own with us from within Nicaragua. They're citizens of Nicaragua. And just being able to be there and explore a country that offers so many different opportunities to people has really driven interest, and we just expect it to continue going up. So if investment is something that you are seeking, I would strongly recommend considering ownership in Nicaragua.
Yeah, and I just saw we had Tobias who's there in Nicaragua. He said, hello from Nicaragua, wonderful country indeed. But, it is a place I mentioned earlier that I went and I lived for what was supposed to be 3 months, but ended up being a year and a half. And I gave my parents 2 weeks notice. I graduated college and I was like, all right, parents, in 2 weeks, I got a job in 2 weeks. I'm going to start my job. I'm like, oh, great. What are you going to be doing? I thought they'd be so excited because that meant I was not going to come back home. I was like, I'm moving to Nicaragua. I have an internship. And they're like, what? And they thought it was going to be the most dangerous experience. All they heard about were the cartels. And it actually was one of the best experiences I've had in Latin America. My mom ended up coming down and visiting, still says it was one of her most beautiful vacation that she's ever had. And I just highly recommend this country as a place for people to consider. If it's never been on your radar before, do your own due diligence, do your own homework. Don't listen to what the media says. They could tell you any place in the world is dangerous. I don't see any reports coming out, the advisory reports from the US about our own country, United States. We only see it about other countries, but if only we could see what it was saying about some of the cities in the States. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the tiny homes in Nicaragua, the Eva community, located within the Grand Pacifica Resort. As Ali mentioned, Grand Pacifica has been around for a long time, 15, 20 years, really been established in the marketplace. And so when you own at Eva, you're aving within a resort that already has different neighborhoods. We have the condos, we have single family custom homes that were built. You saw some of that on the previous slides. Custom home over here, custom home. Oops, I'm jumping too many slides now. Custom home over here, more custom homes. So it's a community that's already established, and the Ava is a really nice introduction into the community. So a riverside community, only a couple of minute walk from the surf beach. It's also a very calm beach where you're able to swim. I saw somebody ask about swimming. It's a perfect place for that. There's also a natural pool right over here where the river meets the water, meets the Pacific. So really nice environment for it. But we have the two Ava pods, 50 homes each. We have about 70 homes within the 100 homes there that are already sold, and the construction has started. So that's been really exciting to see. But on that river, you can go paddleboarding, kayaking, or if you just want to get a floaty and lounge in the river, you can do that too. All right, going to continue on. Oh, the other point I want to mention is the communal gardens and orchards. This is something that we're adopting across the board, and you'll see it integrated into the homes. So we have 4 different models in Nicaragua, and they range from 250 square feet to about 450 square feet, from a loft studio style to a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. So just depending on what it is you're looking for, you may see one model best fits what you're looking to accomplish. You see that has the home, the furniture, closing costs. In Nicaragua, closing costs of 3%. Furniture is not required for any of the homes to own it, but it is required if you want to put it into the rental program. And again, let us know what you're looking to do with it. If you're looking at it from a rental perspective, let us know what home you'd like so we can put together the numbers for you and then go from there. So here are some pictures from the construction. We joked about it, like it looks like some crop circles there, but you can see it is along the lines and the design of what it was that we had anticipated here in the site map. So we're really excited about it. The Bella community, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, single-story beach community will go over here as well. It won't impact views or anything along those lines. They'll be single-story from the second floor, and from the rooftops, you'll have really incredible views of the sunset, the water. And then for those homes that are along, if you can follow my cursor, the perimeters over here, you'll even have some really neat views of the orchards and the river. So just a beautiful property overall. I know we had that, sorry, I don't remember who asked the question, but the swimming beaches right here. And then again, that natural pond or natural pool area up in the area in the northern part of the top part of the picture over here. If Osachio is of interest to you, or Ava Eco Village Osachio, you know what to do. Webinar at ecidevelopment.com, and we will get you those details. All right, so we're going to jump into our 4th and final country of the night, and it'll be about 5-6 minutes, and then we'll jump into your questions. And we are recording. I did see that message come up a couple of times. We are recording, but let's dig into the details about Honduras, Ali.
All right, perfect. Thanks. Yeah, I think people are going to be hearing webinar at ECI Development in their sleep tonight, but just know, you guys, you can always reach out to us with questions as they come to you, and we'll get them answered for you. But Honduras is a country that I got to visit Well, at least I got to attempt to visit last year, right when COVID hit. I was actually on the ground for 24 hours in Honduras before the borders closed. And so I really got to immerse myself into Honduras. And even though lots of things were closed and there wasn't a lot of movement happening, the people there are as incredible as they have been in Belize. Friendly, just love to have you there and love to share their life with you. Just happy people, just really love to be around happy people. And Honduras is, again, another country that hasn't always had the best name, hasn't always had the best reputation. But again, just do your own due diligence, put your own boots on the ground, go visit, go talk to other people that have actually had the opportunity to visit these countries and really get a feel for their experiences and experience it for yourself. But so the property in Honduras, the community in Honduras, the Reef Eco Village is actually going to be on the mainland of Honduras, overlooking out into the Bay Islands. So right about a 45-minute boat ride from Roatan, where if you are familiar at all with Honduras or Roatan or the Bay Islands, you know that Roatan is quite the dive haven. I know I mentioned Belize being incredible for diving as well, but equally as awesome as Belize was Honduras, was Roatan. So the marine life is awesome. There's tons of experienced people there that can really help you navigate and find the best dive sites there in Honduras. And just a couple of different things. You can see some other points there, but the last point there obviously is the affordable Caribbean real estate. And you will have the white sand beach, you will have the view, you will have that lifestyle or that experience where you are able to really relax and soak in the sights and the sounds and the nature that's around you. There's incredible, obviously, flora and fauna and trees and beautiful flowers and different kinds of wildlife. So just another country that truly is a place where you can go and immerse yourself into what it has to offer. And just going, let's see, I still don't think I can move forward there, Rachel, but there we go. So just some pictures there of I believe that the bottom picture right there is actually of the land of the property site of the Reef community, the Eco Village community there. You'll see that just the stretch of the coastline here is beautiful, and in the background you have the mountains, you have the different terrains that you are able to take a short drive and experience. If you're ready to get off the beach for a little while, it's close enough that you can go, you can experience it. Again, another melting pot of different cultures and just variety of experiences that are available to you in the country of Honduras.
Yeah, exactly. And I do want to highlight the picture here in the middle that is, in fact, and both of them actually that are of the property there on site. And the property in Honduras is really spectacular. It's a long stretch. It's about 2 miles of beach. It's long and thin property, long against the coastline. And you can see there's the greenery here. And it's actually, there's a dole plantation. So they're growing pineapple, which is really quite neat. And then in the distance, you can see the mountains. It probably is one of the most beautiful properties I've ever seen. And you can see here on the bottom left, the Caribbean coastline there. It just truly is stunning. And so it's in the La Ceiba area over here. And then just a quick flight to Roatan or to Utila if you're a diver and want to explore the dive sites. So you'll see at the Reef, as I mentioned, the 2 miles of coastline, it does have the eco-friendly features to it. There on site as well. We'll be building the common area, which will have there'll be a music studio for any aspiring artists on the line. There'll also be a stage for once you get good and you want to perform in front of people, but there'll also be retail shops. If you're someone who's looking to relocate and do something, have a business, maybe a tour company or kayak rental or whatever it is, you're able to set up shop there at the retail area, the yoga platform, the birding area, the pathways, the orchards, the gardens, the horse stables, all of that right there on site. And then the long, beautiful stretch of the Caribbean. So there are some of the interior renderings of the property, specifically there at the Reef. And at the Reef, there are the 3 models, Perla, Coral, and Delphine. And again, just depending on what it is that you are ultimately looking for, the Perla, 1 bed, 1 bath, the Coral, 1 bed, 1 bath with the loft, and then the Delphine, which is the 2 bedroom, 2 bath model. I saw somebody was asking about 1-story models, the Perla here. in that case would be ideal. There's the second floor, which is more just a viewing area, outdoor area, but the living is all there on the first floor. Again, if this is a return on a rental for you, reach out to us. Let us know what model is of interest. For the specific details, ask for the brochure webinar at ecidevelopment.com, and then take the next steps. So I do want to introduce you to our sales team here. We have a great group of individuals, people who have been there, done that, and really have experience living in another country, going through the residency process, doing these sort of things that may be on your mind if you're looking to relocate or just generally buying property overseas. It is a different process than owning property in North America or your home country, Australia. I know some of you were on from Europe. It is a different process, and it's not wrong. It's just different. And having these folks on the team being able to guide you through that really will be an important part of all of this, and really understanding what you're looking for. I do want to mention there are a few different ways for you to own. We do cash payments based on the progress of the construction. So $2,500 refundable deposit. And then there are the stage payouts based on the progress of the construction. We accept cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, USDT, and Monero, financing up to 80% financing. Gold and silver, we do accept those in the bullion form. And then if you're from the States, you can use your self-directed IRAs. Sorry, Canadians, you cannot use your RRSPs. Again, there's that consumer resource guide. Reach out. We'd love to send that over to you. A great overview for you as you're exploring property in another country. And if you want to learn more about the country specifically, reach out for the handbooks. Just let us know which handbook specifically, which country is of interest. And Ali mentioned those 101 webinars. We do hour and a half long sessions about each country, just covering pros, cons, all of that, and for you to learn more about it that way. So we're currently in Belize, Nicaragua, Honduras, and Panama. We are currently expanding into Argentina, Ecuador, and Mexico. So if any of those countries are also of interest, just shoot us a message. I don't have an exact time frame at this point, hopefully in the next 6, 12, 18 months. But at least now we do have Belize, Nicaragua, Honduras, and Panama. And we look forward to welcoming you home. We would love for you to join the Eci community. It's been a really good group of owners. We probably have over 1,000 people who are part of the Eci family, probably even more at that point. I'd say 1,500 between the teak ownership, shareholders in our company, property owners. There's just a great variety of individuals from all around the world. And so we will invite you to join our community as well. So I'm going to just run through the questions. I know there were a handful that were answered throughout the presentation. So I'm going to just jump into it and we can go from there. Esther is asking, how safe is it there? I don't know which country you're talking about specifically, but it's really as safe as any other US city. I know I spent a lot of time in New Orleans. I was in the Garden District, St. Charles. If you've been before, you know it is a beautiful area. You have these large mansions there, but you go 2 blocks in the wrong direction and suddenly you're in the most dangerous part of New Orleans in the ghetto. So we know crime is localized. I would just recommend that you be smart. Don't go out in your brand new, like, blingy Rolex. I was gonna say Rolodex. Your blingy Rolex and fancy pants and all of that. You don't need that in the tropics. We live simply down here, but it really just depends entirely on you. And if you're going to the ghetto at 3 a.m. to look for drugs, you probably will get into trouble at some point, but you probably wouldn't do that in your home country anyway. All right, I'm seeing Esther saying off grid. Do you have pictures? I think that was from earlier on in the presentation. Brian is asking about El Salvador. Actually, El Salvador is on our bucket list. We do have a fellow who's actually there right now looking at a property. We have been approached about developing in El Salvador. I know for those crypto folks on the line, they are starting to accept Bitcoin as legal tender. I think is it September 7th? I think September 7th. So we're really excited about that, and hopefully able to get into that market too. So Brian, just let us know you're interested in El Salvador and we'll send you those details. Anonymous attendee is saying, would you identify typical weather events, hurricanes, floods, rainy season? Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, because being in the tropics and being on each coast has their own acts of God, and just depending on where you are, you build to those elements. Something that we know is in Belize and Honduras, when on the Caribbean coast specifically, we are in the hurricane belts, and so what you do is you build to hurricane standards. Just like anywhere in the world, there's some sort of natural element, so you build to that standard. We build to hurricane category 5 standard. I think tiny home is maybe where you want to be if there's a a hurricane because it's already designed to be over the water, but we also do understand the highest surge that has come in through the island has been a little less than 3 feet. So we build above that. So there's certainly smart ways to build in Nicaragua, and being on the Pacific coast, your risk there is earthquakes. So we build to seismic standards, again, knowing the elements so that we're able to build around it. Okay, great question here, Larry. And I saw a couple of other people had this question too, is list the countries where the land is purchased freehold versus leasehold. So these 4 countries that we're talking about, Nicaragua, Belize, Honduras, and Panama, you are getting the title to your property. In some case, it's strata title. In other case, it's I think it's called freehold. So essentially strata title is like a condo where you own the walls within the what's in the wall, the space within the walls, and then others you own the land and then the actual structure. And that's very common in the United States and most countries as well. If you're in a condo, you don't own the land, you own the space within the 4 walls. So yes, they are all title. You get it. It's not a 99-year lease or anything along those lines. You do get actual deed. I'm glad you asked that, Larry. It's a very good question. Eric is saying, are any of these houses movable? No, they're not, but that's a cute idea. We've looked at one point at doing little boats, tiny home boats. It didn't quite work out. But great question. What some folks have done instead is just owned a few different homes across the board, and then they are able to jump around from home to home. So although the home's not movable, you can be movable. All right. So, okay, Dina, and I saw this question come up quite a bit, is masks and the COVID-19 restrictions. I'm going to put it like this. Everybody has their own opinion about what COVID-19 and what's happened over the last year and a half. If you're looking for a place that is free, where you were not mandated to wear masks, where you can make your own decisions, I would highly recommend looking at Nicaragua. Nicaragua never shut their borders. They never closed down. They allowed people to continue operating businesses, no mask mandate. So it depends on you and your comfort level, of course. If you are somebody who has an older parent at home, you're probably not gallivanting the beach parties and then coming home at 3 a.m. after being around thousands of people. You wouldn't do that. But if you're somebody who wants to make that decision for yourself, consider Nicaragua. The place that had the strictest lockdown was Panama, and it still is, fairly strict at this point. There are curfews. You do have to wear, the surgical masks, but it depends on you and depends on what feels comfortable to you. I can't tell you the right country for you. That really just depends on where you feel comfortable in the sort of environment that you want to be around. In addition to that, I know, Dina, you mentioned Bitcoin here. We do accept Bitcoin as well as the other cryptocurrencies. It's not as mainstream to use your Bitcoin for real estate transactions. I think we're one of the only real estate developers in the region that does, but it's becoming more mainstream. I think over the next years, as people and countries follow suit, like El Salvador, we'll start to see more acceptance of Bitcoins, like the day-to-day, like going to a restaurant, grabbing a cup of coffee, that sort of thing. Javier, we have a couple more minutes here. I know we're a little after the hour. I like to respect people's time, and there are also a lot of questions that are coming through. If we didn't get to your questions, Michael, please just take a screenshot there. We're able to reach out to everybody to get their questions answered. And sorry, I just lost the question. I see some more about COVID. Oh man, I just lost the question that I was just at. Sorry, guys. Okay, there it is. Property taxes. Thank you, Javier, for asking this question. Javier saying in last question, how about property taxes coming from a high property taxes that you may be in like California or New York or something. I wonder if there is any or just sales tax and income tax. So great question. In these countries, property tax is fairly minimal. I think the least expensive I found is here in Belize. I have a condo here that I put into the rental program, 500 square feet, 1 bed, 1 bath. They pay $320 a year US for that. It's very, very minimal. In Nicaragua, it is 1% of the purchase price. And I'll have to look back about the other ones, but it is fairly reasonable, especially if you're coming from a place like California or New York. All right. And then I'm seeing monthly maintenance fees. Anne-Marie, let us know what your specific country is. We do have homeowners associations in each of the neighborhoods. Our goal is not as a developer to run associations. It's really for the people in the community. So as we turn over the HOA, you can take a look at what we've established as just a boilerplate. change it, agree, don't agree, but really make it work for that specific community. What we've learned from being in the development world is, as much as we may not like to pay HOA fees, I think we all like to have a standard set. We like to know that garbage is going to be picked up. We like to know there will be landscaping that's maintained. There are these certain things. We like to know that there's security looking out for us. And so these are just very general things that really help add to the value of your home, especially if you are looking to sell at any point. So, we don't want to pay HOA. Nobody wants to pay HOA, but the reality is if you want it to have continued value, there does need to be some sort of maintenance. But Anne Marie, let us know what community you're looking at specifically. Each community has a different price and just depends on what costs are in that country in order to actually maintain. All right. Like I said, I'm just seeing a lot of questions here. Reach out to us, guys, if you have any questions. I'm seeing when how soon can tiny home builds start in Nicaragua? They've started. For the homes, people who've already purchased, they've started, Jono. So you're able to get next on the list there. We can start your home tomorrow if you're ready to move forward, but just reach out to us. It takes about 6-8 months for the home to be done. All right. Yeah, I'm just seeing a lot of questions here, guys, and I love the questions. I just want to make sure we're respectful of everybody's time. Michael is our marketing manager. He's on the back end over here. He's just took a note of all of your questions, and then your specific property consultant will reach out to you. If you haven't yet been introduced to a property consultant, just be on the lookout for an email. Here's our team. You'll see one of these names pop up. In addition, in a couple of hours, we're going to be sending you a copy of the recording. So take a look in your email in the next couple hours. If you don't see it in your email, we didn't forget about you. Check in your spam. We do sometimes end up in spam because we send a lot of emails out. So take a look there. If you, for some reason, can't find it at all, just reach out webinar@ecidevelopment.com. And we'd be happy to send that. And then anonymous attendee, can you send out an email to all of us with answers to the questions? I don't know which questions you're asking about specifically, but reach out and we're able to get you at least those details. And what probably makes more sense, because we have 4 different communities, is let us know your specific interest so we can give you detailed information about that specific community. We have just so many files and documents. I don't want to inundate you with things you're not interested in. So, our team will say, what country interested you? What is your goal? What is your purpose of owning property overseas? Are you looking to relocate? Are you looking for an investment? So we can really make sure you're getting the information that you want. All right, guys, you're awesome. Thank you so much. Ali, any final parting words here before we jump off?
No, I will say I love the enthusiasm behind the questions. I mean, there's lots of good information that will be shared over the next couple of days with you guys via your property consultants. Just know that we're here to help you and guide you in making the best decision for you and for your end goals. So thanks for being on the line with us, and happy chatting.
Yes. Awesome. Everyone, have a great rest of your day, afternoon, evening. And we look forward to meeting you in person at some point and perhaps welcoming you to the community if it makes sense. Bye-bye.